I'm calling this episode behind the tool shed featuring Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny.
Please do. Hey, Adam.
What's
How
up,
are
man?
you?
Hey, I am not super great. I'm kind of reeling from a loss this weekend.
You
Oh,
yeah, you had a tough day against
it was the
Petrin.
Battle of the Atoms. It was the Battle of the
Yes,
Atoms. And listen, Adam came out on top. At least we can say that.
at least there was one Adam on top. You're right.
Adam top, Adam bottom.
And
As Gage would put it.
there you go. And fortunately, I don't know if it's fortunate for him, but we have the person today that I took down this week when I remember I declared last week a must win. But
Look, it's
let me
serious.
introduce my Duquesne brethren. He came up on the North Baldwin courts. There is not a bigger Boy Meets World fan. He loves his Aerosmith. He studies hard. It's pharmacy or fantasy football, and he dances better than Jerome Bettis. We have my friend,
Oh.
yet my rival, the old musket, Mr. Craig Biltz. How are you, Craig?
Good. Thanks for inviting me on the tool shed.
Well, we appreciate you being here. I was doing some research before we hopped on, and you are one of, I believe, 3 teams that's a repeat champion in this league. You've been here from, I want to say, the very beginning. You won in 2017 and 2019. So you've always fielded a competitive team. You're a little down this year. I don't know if you want to address that or not, but a perennial participant of this league. So we're happy to have you.
It's pretty interesting too here. I'm looking at the standings. You got the bottom guy, you got the middle guy, and you got the top guy all on the same show today.
I'll tell you what, I was looking at the standings and it's pretty interesting that it's like true bell curve. There's 2 teams at 6-2, 2 teams at 2-6,
Wild,
3
yeah.
teams at 5-3, 3 teams at 3-5, and then 4 teams at 4-4.
Look at that.
It's an interesting breakdown for sure.
Would you say it's competitive, or would you say there's just a couple teams that are just running the show?
I think we can get into that later. I can definitely do a
There's
Craig's.
only one team running this show, and I'm telling you right now, it's hooking, it's chucking, it's football. Watch out.
There's a team that I like on paper the best to win it all, and I can give that out later in the episode.
Oh, teasers! We appreciate that, but Craig, we
Coming
always
up later in the show.
Yeah,
That's my
that will
radio
get us.
voice.
That might get us some sponsors actually. Teasing the important pieces. But Craig, tough loss. Coming out of week 8. I'm not gonna rub it in. I'm not gonna rub salt in the wound. We move on to week 9. I know you and I made a rather large trade last week too. It seemed like it paid off. Maybe a little better for you. Week 8 than I did for me. I didn't get many statistics from the guys you sent over, but fortunately I had other guys on the team that kind of picked up for the lost statistics from Jamar Chase, but he had a pretty decent game for you, unfortunately dealing with the loss.
Yeah, Chase, great. It's been a rough year. I've been really going into the trades hard. So, I just made a trade with you and Anthony a couple weeks ago, and Jimmy.
It's good to see trades. There's been years where we haven't had too many trades. I'm enjoying seeing everyone, kind of playing the trade game.
I also have offered Petrin about 600 trades for McLaurin, and he's been holding out on me.
I think you should send him a couple more. He'll give in. You just got to keep going.
Sometimes I have a couple soda pops on the weekend, and I just start wheeling and dealing, sending trades out.
Specifically to Petrin.
Yeah, but it's been
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's been a little bit of a rough year for me, taking a step back, and then 2-6 right now. My first 2 draft picks, Wilson and Puka. Wilson started out slow. Puka got hurt first game, and then I started going to the well. So we're trying to. I feel like I have a decent, like an okay starting lineup now, like probably the best it's been throughout the whole year. So we'll see what happens the next couple weeks. Maybe I can, wiggle my way to a playoff spot by some chance.
Man, how did you feel? How did you feel when you made that trade with Jimbo, and you got Chris Godwin coming over to you, making a big splash for your team, and then something bad happened, I guess, didn't it?
I mean, the whole trade was set up. That's who I was going after. I wanted a player in my lineup that could score 20, 30 points. And he just went down, and I was, you just throw up your hands at that point.
That's tough. That is the worst luck, and it was sad to see for you. I was sad to see that for you because it could have definitely made your team a little more competitive for sure. But listen, you're not down and out yet. You got Jamar Chase. You made another big deal to get Jamar Chase. Puka Nakua is back, and he's scoring. 2-0's back, and we'll see how that goes for him.
Speaking of your quarterbacks, Craig, do we have a little quarterback controversy? I know we have Tua. You have him starting on your lineup this week. You got Jared Goff on the bench. I think Jared Goff has bitten you a couple times this year. I think in week 6, week 7, he's really turned it on, and I think you've had him on the bench. Are you considering a change?
I'm just looking at the matchup. I think Tua. I like that offense a lot better if Tua can stay healthy. I mean, it's hard to say because the Lions just put up 52 points or whatever they put up, but I mean, I would take Tyreek Hill over St. Brown, A-Chain's playmaker, and I think they depend more on the pass than the Lions do. So, yeah, I think it's 50-50. I'm just trying to spot start whoever seems to have a better matchup.
Well, I think that's a fair analysis because Tua he's going to throw the ball. Jared Goff, as good as he is, they have a dynamic run game, and I think they're focusing on the rush. So in a league where it's quarterback scoring a point every 25 yards, you want the guy that you think is going to throw the most, and he's playing Buffalo. They're playing at Buffalo this week. The weather's not bad there. Buffalo's 6-2. It could be a shootout. So we'll see if that pays off for you.
Plus, I want to use him before, 4 games down the line, he might get hurt again and be out for the season. So I just want to use him while I got him.
So, again, very fair analysis. You never know when he's going to go down again. So, you have a good backup on the bench in Jared Goff. Arguably a Super Bowl contender. So, I think if you can get some fair matchups. A couple guys underperform on your opposing teams. I think. You do have a chance to make a run. If it's any motivation, you're 14th in the power rankings right now. So, there's a lot of expectations for a person in this league that's a repeat champ. So you got to try and live up to them.
I'm getting way more conversation time than I need. I mean, I feel like Kresley has downplayed his first place ranking right now. He's been very humble. So go ahead, Kresley. Let's hear it. What's your strategies?
My strategy is just everybody have fun. I just pick the guys based off of, I look at their picture. I say, he looks happy. I'm going to play him. I'm going to put him on the bench, or I'm going to put him in the active lineup. That's how I roll. I'm just all about these people having fun, but then I'm also like, fucking hook it, chuck it, football. We're gonna go with Bo Nix over freaking Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I see you put Bo Nix in this week. That's a ballsy call, but they're going up against a crappy Baltimore defense. So that might be the pick.
I'm thinking.
Who's the Bengals play?
Bengals are playing Las Vegas. Another decent, matchup for a QB. But here's the thing. I looked back. Joe Burrow has already gone up against Baltimore. He had 5 touchdowns, 392 yards. His biggest game of the year was against Baltimore. Then you look at last week's game with Jameis Winston playing against Baltimore, and he had 30 some odd points as well. I'm thinking Bo Nix also had. I mean, and this will actually could get into the superlatives here. We'll get about that because he had some good points as well last week. So I'm thinking I'm playing him. I'm playing him based off of all that information. And
All right.
I'm thinking this is a good point where we can actually just transition right into our superlatives, and we can take a chance to call out the name of the show here. Can we try it, you guys? You think we can do it this time?
I think we can do it. I think we can make it work.
Hey, why don't we just take a look and see what's going on behind the tool shed? Now that was perfect.
That was okay. Yeah, that was okay this time.
Okay. I will say it's the trying to be in the tool shed right around Halloween. That's like where 50% of the murders take place in horror films. So I'm freaked out.
Gotta watch out. Got a big ass bag of like corn to take out and like go corning people. You hide in the woods and you throw them at people.
Do you guys ever do that? Do you guys ever do that in Baldwin, Craig?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Throw raw corn at people's windows.
You've never corned?
No.
Oh, here
we'll
we go.
Go to Punksy Friday night and go out.
Yep, that's what you have to do. You have to do it. It's an experience like no other. Throwing corn at people.
I'll take your word for it.
You never know where Jimmy's going to be lurking, or where Gage is going to be lurking, or
Jimmy's somewhere. Jimmy's going to be halfway between Blau's parents' house and the airport. So, at least he was at one time when he walked home.
Touchy subject. We'll have him on to tell the story.
Yep. Classic. All right. Well, hey, how about I get into this first superlative here? It's called "What a Week," and I'll tell you what. I told Trevin that he'd never make it even close to 200 again, but that son of a bitch had to show me up, didn't he?
He did. He had a huge week.
Man, it was a blowout city for him. Trevin won by a comfortable 49.9 margin over the Lone Rangers, Sean, and CeeDee Lamb led the way with 40.6 points. Hey, it's got to be fun watching your team crush the competition. Amari Cooper must have seen this coming because they really didn't show up for the fight, scoring only 1.3 points. But, don't get complacent, Trevin. Keep the pedal to the metal and play to win. I don't think he's ever going to get to 200 again, though.
Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast.
Not so fast, as our good old friend Lou Holt says.
I mean,
no, I didn't think it would be this early.
You mean Lee Corso, don't you, Craig?
Who'd I say?
Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz would just be spitting in your face.
It's the same guy.
It's pretty much the same guy. You're right. They're both a little senile. But congrats to Trev. Another big week. Trev's been a little vocal, so he's been saying that he's been, they've been buckling down there at out in Mechanicsburg, PA. He beat another 2-time champion in Sean, so there's something odd going on with repeat champions this year.
Here's the problem with that game, though. I'm saying, Trevin, you blew your load on a $2 hooker. Sean is 13th. In the league, just above certain somebody else on the show tonight, but way to spend your second 200 almost points on a low team. Sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to call you a $2 hooker. I'm sure you're a wonderful $2 hooker.
I really like Trevin's team is the team that I thought looks best on paper to win a championship.
Ooh, here we go. Okay.
Right now, I think McBride's a stud, and then you stack him with Kyler Murray. Your running backs are studs, and then he has CeeDee Lamb, who started out slow, but he's right where he needs to be right now. So I don't know. I just really like Trev's team.
I'm looking at his team again right now, and Craig, you're right. He's stacked. I mean, I traded him Devonta Smith last week, but I got Marvin Harrison Jr. It played out pretty well for both of us. But Montgomery, Lamb, even Tank Bigsby having a renaissance. His team, he's scary. Plus, he has Shakir on the bench from Buffalo. He has Cortland Sutton on the bench, who are both playing half decent. I mean, so he could be scary, especially getting hot halfway through the year here, going into the playoffs, filing for playoff position. I don't argue against what you said, Craig.
Well, he
Smart man,
does.
Will.
He's got Tony this week. Then he's got Drew. Then he's got you, Craig. Then Anthony. Not too bad, should be. Then JJ. I think he's got a couple winnable games coming up here. No offense to you, Craig, but I think he's got some winnable games that could help him in the long run.
Yeah, I mean he's 4-4, but I think the way his the schedule plays out, like playing me, that's a win. And then he just like with his roster, I think playoffs is just about there. He just needs to get a couple more W's in the book.
Yeah. Yep. And things can turn right around, So
Yeah, and going back, Craig, to what you said earlier, Trev right now is in the 6th position. So he's right now the last team in the playoffs. So he's that only 4-4 team that's getting in front of Anthony, myself, Petrin. But Tony's on the rise. You're feeling good about your second half. You never know what to say about JJ, and Petrin's there as the defending champion. So it's competitive there in that middle, that lower middle half of the league.
Yeah. Do we go in? Should I go into like I'm very excited about a game this week, or is that later in the show?
We can save that for the show.
We'll save it. We'll save it because we got a couple more superlatives to go through, and then you make your hot takes, Craig.
We'll hit the hot takes. Yeah. I
All
think that'd be a good spot for that. So, all right. So next up, we got top scoring players here. And typically you see a QB being the number one up at the top there, but not this week. We got CeeDee Lamb scoring 40.6 points. And that's what really helped Trevin out there for sure. That's
another losing effort from the Cowboys. They stink.
That's a shame, right? Well, no, it's not. Screw the Cowboys.
But Jalen Hurts, Sean had him, went off, but wasn't enough to overcome Trev. And then JJ's favorite player, Kirk Cousins, with 40 as well.
Yep.
Oh,
exactly. But then who do you see right under Kirk Cousins?
And this is why you're playing him. Bo Nix, 4th highest scorer of the week.
Exactly. I think he's on the heater. When you're on the heater, you don't get off.
And Craig, you had Jameis Winston.
Oh, yeah. He could be a start this week. Who knows?
Yeah.
We're looking at 3 quarterbacks with the old musket.
I could sit Tua. I could sit Goff. I'll just go wild. What do I have to lose?
That's true. Sometimes when you're not overthinking it, you go with your gut, and that's what will pay off for you. I'll be interested to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Next we got the most valuable bench warmers.
I should have about 4 of these on my list.
You got one.
We'll go through. Yeah, you definitely got one. I've got the number one most valuable bench warmer with Bo Nix. If I would have played him, I would have won. So it is what it is. I'll let Petrin have this one. I needed to come down. I was riding that high, and it was just I was getting too close to the sun. So Petrin, thank you for bringing me down a notch, giving me just. Hey, listen, you're still human. You may be like the best team in the league, but you're still human. You're gonna beat everybody else, but Just take it a notch down. That's what he told me to do. And I listened. And then we got Jameis Winston over here. Didn't play him last week, did you?
Well, it was his first game starting, right?
That's true. That's true. You
So it would have
can't.
been a tough start.
You can't exactly a Cleveland Brown.
Yeah.
Starting quarterback. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I'd like to see if anybody in our league has ever what the percentage starts are of Cleveland quarterbacks over the 12 seasons we've done this league.
Oh my goodness!
I bet you it's less than 10%.
Yeah, that's
Craig,
like an automatic
no
starter.
I have I know you're having some challenges with who to play and who not to play. I have a question. Have you ever considered a team name change to bring you better luck? You won twice. You won twice as Trump's small hands.
Oh,
you haven't won as the old musket. Would you consider changing your name to Plays with Squirrels to bring you some luck for the rest of the season?
Wait, have I won this league 3 times?
You've won twice.
Won twice. Go for 3 this year.
Yeah, I just switched it. The political climate's crazy. I don't want to keep Trump's small hands
wild.
in there.
It's wild. You don't want to do that. Yeah, we're not a political. We're not a political one. So yeah, we can abstain from that.
But Plays with Squirrels. If anyone's a Boy Meets World fan, that's a great episode. I would consider it.
Ooh.
I'm not against it. I might have a trial period. With trying it 1 week, maybe this week, and if I win, I'll keep it.
Yeah, I think I'm asking change the name to Plays with Squirrels. Change your picture to change your picture to Eric Matthews with the beard. And open your manifesto and dig deep into your fantasy knowledge and see if maybe this is what can change the momentum for you.
How about, all right, I had another idea, just another name idea that's Boy World related. Instead of going with Trump's small hands, how about you go with Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny?
Mr. Feeny's Peeny. Have we confirmed he has a big peeny?
He's got. If you've watched the show, you guys have all watched the show. He has got a baby's arm holding an apple.
You know what? I feel like Kresley probably has been keeping that nickname expression in for years, and it finally had a good segue where he could say Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny.
I've been sitting on that for so long.
I'm with Craig. How long have you sat on that one?
Maybe that's not the right term to use for that name either, but it's been brewing.
Hey, there's a top and bottom name in here, so.
How long have I been sitting on Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny? Oh man, that's just too long. It's time to get off.
And now we know what you were doing up in the treehouse across in the house next door. But I was going to see if we could get Mr. Feeny to read off the post-season superlatives. But after you said Big Peeny, I don't know that he's going to join us.
Oh my God,
he's still trucking. He's still here. I think he is.
He's with us. He's still with us. All right.
He's still with us. We'll have to see if he does cameos, and if he's
got to be 94, right?
He's in his mid-90s. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. 94, Big Peeny. He probably has a bunch of Werthers in his house.
The Peeny still works, according to Adam.
It does. It's been in there for a while.
But not to digress. I say go with Plays with Squirrels, Craig. No pressure. Just looking out for a friend who I know is a fan.
I'm named the Old Musket in 2 ESPN leagues, and my combined record is 3-13.
Oof.
So it's been rough this year.
Got to make some changes around the organization.
All right. I say change it to Plays with Squirrels, and if you win, you keep it. But if you lose, you go to Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny.
Now, I'll tell you right now, Kresley, I'm going to change In this league, I'm going to be plays with squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
My other ESPN league, I'm going to hit them with the Feeny.
Okay.
Yeah,
You'll
and
have to
everyone-
You have to
report
report. You
back.
have to report back. You have to report back to us. It's gonna spread like wildfire. That's
All
gonna be
right,
the most popular fantasy football name next season. It's gonna
Some
pop
guy
up
in
on
Pennsylvania
ESPN.
turned around a 1-7 record to win his fantasy football league.
We can't read it on TV, but if you look up on the
Mr. Feeney's big Peeny has really turned it around. He's turned
You know what
around
makes
and
me-
showed the world.
it makes me really mad.
What makes you really mad?
And I'm skipping ahead, but
That's okay.
I'm real mad that Gage got the Monday Night Miracle. He was talking so much shit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he was, but I'm glad because
He did take out Drew.
It helps me out. He helped me out. Why don't you read what it says about him?
The Steelers, the Monday Night Miracle. This head-to-head came down to Monday night's game. Billy Top, Trevin Bottom defeated Stone Cold ET 133 to 123. The Steelers defense did what they were supposed to do. The team was down with one last chance to come away with the win, and they came through scoring 14 points. They overachieved at the best moment, beating their projection of 8.5 and rendering the team's 47% chance of winning meaningless. That's too much credit for Gage. I don't like it.
I remember Sunday night looking at that percentage, win percentage, before going to bed, and I was like, I didn't believe it either because I knew the Steelers D was going to do what they do. So I felt pretty good, even though ESPN was projecting Drew to win by 47%.
And the Steelers defense didn't even look that great from what I saw. On
No,
Monday
I
night.
mean,
hey, a win's a win. Russ cooked, but
and that interception didn't come until the last play, right? And so,
I mean, they had a
That's
bunch
what
of
it
sacks, if I remember, right?
But TJ Watt got shut down. I saw Minka give up a couple plays, but hey, again, win's a win at the end of the day. So why am I complaining?
And it kept Drew and I at the same record so far. It kept me in first place. So thank you, Gage, Billy Top, Trevin Bottom.
So you needed that. You still have the most points of anyone in the league.
And most points
you've also still given up the most. Craig, you've given up. Yeah, Craig, you've given up a lot of points too. I think you've given up third or fourth most. So you haven't had the world's best luck. But Adam, you're just scoring off the charts. The only other person above 1,000 is Jim. He's sitting in third place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, franchise law? There's no excuses in the old Musket camp.
That's true.
You got to make your own luck sometimes.
Right. You pull your bootstraps up, and you just
I once watched Craig play Mario Kart for 36 hours straight out of principle alone to beat a record, and it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
That's dedication. That is dedication.
When he says there's no bullshit in the old Musket camp, he means it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, that's a very true story. I must have played Moo Farm on N64 Mario Kart. I probably played Moo Farm 600 times.
I mean, that's a good map though, too. That's a good track. That's a good track.
He still got a 4.0 in college. It's man of many talents.
That is.
This week, all right, so Craig and then Adam. Craig, tell me about your matchup this week. What makes you nervous? What makes you excited? Do you think you can pull off a win?
I mean, everything makes me nervous. Let's be real. My team is begging for wins right now. So, like I said before, I really like my starting squad right now. But I've Mason out because I think the 49ers are on bye, maybe.
They are, yep.
He's been like a workhorse for me. I really like the Puka. Jamar Chase 1-2 punch, and then also the Raiders tight end. What's his name? Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Yeah, he's a stud.
He is a stud. I think I'm playing Billy Top's Tevin.
Billy top, Trevin bottom. You're playing Gage.
Okay, and his I've Baker in one of my other leagues. I think he has Baker and Saquon Barkley. So yeah,
Has Baker peaked? He's thrown a lot of interceptions the last couple of weeks.
I think he has peaked as far as I think one time 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he was the number one fantasy quarterback, I think. Obviously he can't sustain that with Godwin and Evans out. But I still think he's a fantasy starter.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats now. I mean, he's 4 touchdowns week 6, 3 touchdowns week 7, 3 touchdowns week 8, but he's thrown multiple interceptions in both of those and all 3 of those games too. So it's, I mean, you get what you get with Baker, but he seems to be pretty loose out there. But Gage has Derek Carr as his backup.
Yeah.
So, Baker Mayfield starts choking here midpoint of the season. This might be the week to take advantage, Craig.
Let's hope so, Blau. I mean, Gage, he's 5-3. I feel like his wide receivers have not produced like recently. Like Olave is supposed to be a stud, but I feel like he's had some down weeks. And Pittman's kind of all over.
Yeah, he hasn't been great.
That's because of that other QB out in New Orleans. So I think he's going to benefit from Derek Carr coming back.
Okay. I mean, and Derek Carr had a hot start.
He did. They were 2-0. They were 2-0 to start the year. Didn't he throw like 5 touchdown passes the first game or something?
Yeah, and I think 3 of them were Kamara at one point.
Kamara had a 4 touchdown game.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the week that Trevin scored 200 against you and beat you, if I'm not mistaken.
It could have been that son of a bitch. Just had to bring it up again, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I was the only team this week not to break 100. So I'm really hoping that the fantasy gods are with me and I can, hit a 190. Just like our illegal touching brethren.
You can do it. You can do it. I need you to get a win this week here,
Yeah, you're gonna have to score some points. You're gonna have to score some points, Craig.
Hey, when the top player in the league tells you to win, you go out and do it. All right.
Oh man, I wish fantasy football was as easy as Moo Farm.
I know.
If only. But Cressley,
strip club, by the way.
Cressley, you got Sean this week. You got hat trick. You got the Lone
Rangers. I do.
Another situation just like Craig, perennial champion, having a down year. Good team on paper. Derrick Henry, St. Brown.
He does.
Does Derrick Henry have the most 20-yard runs you've ever seen this year? 20-plus yard runs. Every time I watch him,
he never
breaks one.
He never stops running. He's just always running.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. He's having a renaissance of a season. Like everybody said he was going to go to Baltimore. He was going to play a minor role, and he is just they're saying he might break 2,000 yards.
I mean, Gus Edwards was relevant on the Ravens. Like, you put Derrick Henry back there, of course he's going to be good.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like, he's older. I feel like Ravens running backs always get hurt.
He's beat up in Tennessee. I mean, he 25, 30 carries a game. But it must be because people have a couple of extra eyes on Lamar Jackson and they're worried about that 1-2 punch. It's just opening up space for him. But hey, good for him for having a comeback. I mean, he might be the comeback player of the year if he stays consistent and doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, right now he's going into week 9. He's got 946 yards, which is wild, So it's a good pick. Good. You can't. It's hard to go against Derrick Henry. However, I got Alvin Kamara. he's the number 2 right now, you know? So you got number 1 versus number 2. Derek Carr's coming back potentially. And so we're going to get some catches, potentially catches and some running yards. That's how I feel about Alvin Kamara. I got DeAndre Swift has moved up to the number 2 spot for me because I happened to make a certain trade this week that went through today.
Oh, tell me. Who'd you trade?
So, listen, I lose one game. Well, technically it's my second one, but who's counting really? I lose one game, and I have to hit the panic button a little bit. So I reached out to someone that I knew needed a running back to hook me up with a wide receiver because my wide receiver core is just not there. It wasn't really there. Man, I reached out to Drew. I know, the number 2 person in the league. I know what you're thinking. That's crazy, right?
Does Drew?
Crazy.
That is kind of crazy but I mean, if you feel like that's going to better your team, that's all you can hope for. Like you can't worry about scenarios in the playoffs like playing Drew or
yeah.
You got Chase Brown, right?
I got Chase Brown out of it. He was the secondary player that I wanted to get, out of this. Basically, my trade was a running back and wide receiver combo for a wide receiver running back combo. And I think it was
you can tell us who the trade was for because it's in everyone's
Well,
email.
I know. Right, exactly, and it did go through already. They're already on my team, but I was just building it up. It's just
I got you
for the show.
There's a lot of mystery around this.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I could have looked at my email 5 times already and just. Let's go ahead.
It's all about the weave. I'm telling you. It was. I traded away Brace Hall. He was my number 1 pick.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you even said Chase Brown, and I think Adam was like, "Well, maybe it was Chase Brown, maybe it wasn't."
Listen, that's not who I was. He wasn't he wasn't the target. Okay, so he wasn't the target, but he was the guy to replace the running back that position that I just lost. But I was basically trading Breece Hall for Cooper Kupp, who just came back, is going to be killing it for the Rams, along with Puka Nacua.
Oh, you got Cooper Kupp.
I got the Coop. I got the Coop Cup.
I'm curious. Did you call Carolina and get Deontay Johnson traded to Baltimore as well?
Listen, I don't feel good about that, honestly. I would have rather DJ go down to Tampa Bay to fill in for Chris Godwin, But listen, he's going to be a wide receiver. We know that he can catch footballs or touchdowns because he ended up doing that in Carolina. So he didn't do too much in Pittsburgh, but he did it down in Carolina with Red Rocket there. Maybe bringing him to Baltimore in a pass. That's not a very big pass heavy offense, but it is what it is. I got to play him this week, so I'm hoping he does great this week.
Well, I'd rather, I'm the biggest Lamar hater there probably is. But
wait,
I would rather Lamar Jackson. I would rather have Lamar Jackson throwing to me if I'm Deontay Johnson than whoever they pull out of their ass in Carolina. So
yeah, exactly. Because Dalton, he was good at first, and then he started to go a little bit. The thing is that DJ is not going to be like the number 1 there, where he was technically the number 1 down in Carolina since Thielen was out for a little bit. But hey, it is what it is. I'm going to do it. DJ is not my I'm on a bye week right now, so Deebo Samuel's on bye. I've also got Jawan Jennings out of San Francisco as well. Basically the 1-2 punch for wide receivers out there. So I think I'm pretty good now. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, I hate Baltimore.
Hey,
But
yep. That goes without saying. Baltimore.
their
suck.
offense on paper is scary. Deontay Johnson, Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson,
Mhm.
Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews. But it's too
Isaiah
bad their defense
Likely.
stinks. Isaiah Likely.
Right.
It's just too bad their defense stinks. They'll probably have to score 35 points a game.
I feel
I'll
like
tell
you don't go out and get Deontay Johnson and then not throw him the ball. So I feel good about this week at least. He's not like Devontae Adams going to the Jets and then never seeing the ball thrown his way. So
I have a couple takes on this. Number one, I feel like Lamar is. I was a Lamar
overrated,
hater.
of course. Overrated, of course.
This year he's having a pretty unbelievable year,
Yeah,
stat wise.
I guess I can concede that.
Even more fantasy wise. Like he's been a stud.
Fantasy wise,
5
yes,
touchdowns,
but
right?
fantasy wise, he's great. But I think Xander has him. Or no?
He does.
Yeah, Xander. Of course, Xander
Yeah.
has him. The Baltimore, the Baltimore fan in the room.
This is usually about the time that Xander turns the podcast off. By the way, when we start
Yeah.
talking about Lamar
And we start shitting on Baltimore. But he hasn't won. He hasn't won anything. So,
yeah, that's it. Exactly. He's got nothing to show for it. So,
And I think Deontay Johnson is a bad good wide receiver. I think he's considered good, but I think he's not good.
I didn't feel great about having him because of his past. You know, he was just like stone hands for the Steelers, but he turned it around when he was down there in Carolina. With Andy Dalton QB into him.
He's arguably the most overhyped player in Steelers history since like Bud Dupree.
No.
He's dropped.
Yep.
I feel like he's dropped, like you said, he's dropped more balls than he's caught.
Mm-hmm.
He can be good when he wants to be, but does he ever really want to be? He's usually just complaining.
Yeah. I feel like he might end up complaining with Zay Flowers and the other dude. I don't know Baltimore's receivers very well, so.
Well, that's the only one I can name. Zay Flowers is the only one I can name. So
they still have Bateman.
But
yeah, I think they do. They do.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel good about Cooper Kupp. He's going to be my numero uno wide receiver going through, and then I'll have Debo back, and I might. Chase Brown is the de facto number one RB out of Cincinnati for the moment, at least. So
yeah, he moved his way up to that starting spot.
Yep. So I've got 3 starting running backs. I've got Cooper Kupp. I've got the number 1 receiver out in San Francisco, plus the number 2 now since Ayuk went down. And Zach Ertz has been pretty good for me at tight end. So it's just, I had a bad week last week though, and I feel like Petrin's team, everyone on his team scored a touchdown. I even think his kicker scored a touchdown. So it is what it is.
I think it's just a blip on the radar for you.
It was
for you, Adam. I think that's an anomaly. I think your team looks good. I think you're set for success down the stretch.
I think so.
I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. This week is a must win for Brian Exotic. I'm playing Anthony. I'm playing our other Duquesne brethren.
It is.
Craig and I.
Yep.
Craig and I. He doesn't know this yet, but Craig and I have to combine for a better record than Anthony and Petrin. That's just like for pride.
It just has to happen.
So I got to take down Anthony, both for pride, and both for my playoff positioning because he's right ahead of me in the standings. We're projected pretty close on paper. I'm hoping that my trades that I made have gotten a little more comfortable with franchise Blau, and I'm just hoping for a big week that I don't have to stress over. I can enjoy the game. Steelers are on bye, and I'm hoping I can smooth to a victory. But Anthony probably has an argument against that. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, you got Jaden Daniels going up against Washington this week, and he's expected to play, even though he did get a little bit of an injury the last game. Going up against the
Well,
Giants.
How about that Hail Mary he threw at the end of the
yeah, if he's
Commanders
still
game on
chucking,
Sunday?
he's chucking Hail
With bruised
Marys down
ribs,
the
he's
field.
thrown it 60
Mhm.
yards.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
was wild.
exactly. It
That was
was.
one of the craziest plays I ever watched live on TV.
I mean, can you
Oh.
believe? First of all, we have 2 successful Hail Marys this year that we've been able to watch, and that was just wild for sure. I'd say that was more wild than Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary right before
And how about
halftime.
that? And how about that one dude on the Bears that was talking shit the whole way down the sideline while Daniels was getting ready to throw, and he like sees the play at the last second and runs over, and he's the one that ends up tipping the ball to the Washington receiver. What
Yep,
a dumbass!
exactly. Yeah, that's what you get, man. That's what you get.
Instant karma.
Instant karma is right.
That's what it was. It's what it was. Well, but how do you feel about your running back situation, though?
The running back situation's improved. I'm hopeful. Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb turns a corner.
Yep,
Stevenson had 2
he's gonna
touchdowns
give you a
last.
Chubb. You're hoping.
Yeah, I hope he does.
Yep.
Stevenson had 2
Wow, you wanna
touchdowns
trade
last
Chubb?
week.
Oh, so
Didn't you just trade him to? Didn't you just trade him to me?
Yeah, I did.
You want him back?
No.
You want to work a deal live on the air?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Ooh,
Okay.
ooh,
He's starting to get a little bit of a
Ooh.
Chubb going here. Yeah. Well, I think if you compare him to to Anthony's, Raheem Mostert, he's the number 2 basically out at Miami, and James Conner hasn't really done too much for Arizona, so I think you guys pretty evenly matched up so far, with Chubb
so
giving you the advantage, I think.
Oh yeah. Hopefully, Chubb turns it on, literally and figuratively. We'll take, I hope Anthony. I wish him the best, but I need this win. He has a good team. But
who the hell is Lad McConkey? Is that a real name, or is that a name made up by Key and Peele?
It's the best name in the NFL right now. He's a rookie.
He looks like Craig if he had your curly hair but with Paul Bissonnette's face. He's like if you and Paul Bissonnette had a baby together. Is what he looks like.
Who's Paul Bissonnette?
No.
You don't know who Biz Nasty is? Paul Bissonnette. He's played for the Penguins.
Nasty.
No.
Now he's
Nasty.
Now he's an analyst. He's like does spit and chiglets, and he's on USA
boy.
hockey analyst. You don't know who Biz Nasty is?
No.
The old business.
His claim to fame is he played on a line with Crosby and Malkin for 9 seconds or something.
I mean, that is I would use that as my claim to fame if that ever happened.
Adam, you know who Paul Bissonnette is. You know who Biz Nasty is, right?
You gotta know. He's a guy that played for 9 seconds on the Crosby Malkin line.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, Craig, give us one matchup outside of your own that you're looking at this week that you think is going to be competitive. What are you excited about?
I don't know if it'll be competitive because it's fantasy football and anything can happen. But Blau, your matchup versus Sugar Bear Anthony, just from separating, the who's who down to the who's not. Both 4-4 teams. I think it's super interesting because you're both on right at that cusp of a playoff berth. You're fighting for that 6th position. Whoever wins it is going to move up to 5-4. Put you on track to still compete. Whoever loses it will be 4-5. It'll be a harder trip back. But so I think it's a really interesting matchup between you and Anthony. Plus, you were past roommates, right?
We were.
Which just adds to the drama. So I think it'll be a good matchup.
I was roommates at one time with all 3 Duquesne guys on in this league. So yeah.
So me,
get around.
Anthony, and Petrin.
I lived with Petrin the summer before I moved in with you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So
jeez, you really got around in Duquesne, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I did.
So I think that's an intriguing matchup. It the winner is really going to put themselves up to the next step, hopefully, of getting to the playoffs. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm declaring it. That's why I've declared it a must win. I have to win, or my playoff hopes are slim.
Yeah.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at, Adam?
I'm looking at 2 games here. The
You
game
looking
that
at me?
I'm looking at no. I'll tell you what. I feel good about your team. You're going to win this week. I'm telling you. So that's why it's not on my my hot
I'm
team.
picking you too, Craig, just to spite Gage. So just to throw that out there.
Okay, here's the game that I'm looking towards, and I have a bonus. Here's the game I'm scared of. I'm looking forward to seeing how Billy Weaver does against JJ. Billy, you're coming close here, man. You can do this. You and JJ are both 3-5, 10th and 12th team. It's going to be an interesting game for both you two. I kind of have to lean towards JJ on this one, but I'm pulling for you, Billy. I hope you can pull it off, man. I want you to win. I want you to win, but JJ, it's JJ. He's got. I think Devontae Adams is gonna, start taking water with cayenne pepper sauce put in, along with Aaron Rodgers, and T Higgins is gonna come back hopefully, and so that'll be the game to watch. I think, to see what happens there. That one could go either way. The game that I'm scared about is Drew and Xander's game. And the reason I'm scared about this is Drew is in second place, which is, he's right behind me. Xander sitting there in fourth place at 5-3. Drew wins. He continues to be in second place. Not bad. Xander wins. He's going to be 6-2 as well. Or he won't be 6-2. He'll be in 6-3. He'll be 6-3. Drew will be 6-3. He moves up. That's Xander's. He's been quietly coming up the ladder there, and he's starting to scare me. So
he did lose this week, though. But yeah, that could be another anomaly. So we'll see.
It could. So yeah, that's my scary game. If they could just both lose, that'd be great.
I like that. I think I'm going to do that too. So the one that intrigues me is Tony versus Trev. Tony is arguably one of the hottest teams right now. Trev just went off again last week. They have very high projections. They're both, Tony is still technically in the playoff hunt. Trev is right there. Trev is sixth. So that intrigues me. I think what scares me, did Jimmy beat JJ last week? I'm scared for Jimmy. I think Petrin is a good matchup against Jimmy, and Petrin's team is looking good on paper again too. So I'm nervous for Jimmy, but it benefits me if Jimmy loses. So I'm going to go Petrin in the matchup that scares me, and then the one I'm going to keep looking at outside of my own is Trev and Tony.
There you go.
Because I know Craig's going to win. I already know that.
Yep.
I already know JJ's going to win.
Yeah.
Xander, I think, comes back and takes down Drew.
I mean, you don't even know what team I'm going to be fielding. I've already offered 2 trades since we've been on the phone.
Gage, you might as well just put all your players on the bench.
Craig's feeling hot.
He's feeling hot. You got to watch out. Watch out.
He's going to be dancing. He's going to be dancing across a 10th Street bridge like Jerome Bettis. After he takes down Gage this week. Gage, and I'm here for it.
You better watch out for Mr. Feeney's Big Peeny, because it's coming for you.
Yeah. How about how good I feel like Drew, his winning percentage for the length of this fantasy football has just been unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Drew
I mean,
does
every
his
year
homework.
he's top 3 in the league.
You know,
And I can't give enough props to Drew.
yeah.
So Drew is 88-57. He's won 1 championship. He's had 9 playoff appearances out of 11. And he's
So
had
he's Nick
3 top
Saban.
3. He's had 3 top 3 finishes. So you've actually won more championships, Craig,
I can't believe that.
than Drew has. But when you only made the playoffs 5 times. But when you make the playoffs, you're usually getting you finish in the top 3 out of 5 times, winning twice. So
Yeah.
you could be a Saban too.
I like the stat, the fact check. Wow, but just from the eye perspective, I feel like every year it's just like Drew's the top 3, top 2.
Oh,
You
I
know?
mean, I say it every week. Drew is very hard to bet against week in and week out. Like I'll repeat myself again, but he always finds some random name that nobody knows that scores 20 points, and he'll probably do it again.
Yep.
And it makes me so mad.
He finds a way. Well, you know,
he grinds out those W's.
I gave him Brees Hall, so you know he's at least got a decent running back to lean on now. So, but Brees Hall does have a bye in week 12. So who's he up against in week 12? Let me see. Full schedule.
God, I hope it's me.
I hope it's me.
He's up against Sean.
Week 12.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
So there you go. There you
Sean
go.
Sean may be tanking for Tua by that point. So we'll see how this plays out. But I think we're at about an hour, right, Adam?
I'd say, yep, we are.
So,
we're there,
Craig,
you guys. We made it.
Yeah, Craig, we greatly appreciate you joining us. I'm excited to see what Plays with Squirrels will do this week.
Yeah.
I hope you have no nightmares about Mr. Feeny's Big Peeny. And we'll pay close attention to your matchup this week.
I'm calling this episode.
We appreciate you joining.
I'm calling this episode behind the tool shed featuring Mr. Feedy's Big Peeny.
Please do.
No, this was fun. This was
Any parting words, Craig?
No, I think I gave all my spoilers out already. So
I have one last question for you, and it's not football related.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gun to your head, best Boy Meets World episode of all time. Go.
Oh, I was actually just thinking one to mention to you. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's where Corey and Sean, first 3 seasons, they actually sneak into Mr. Feeny's going on vacation. They sneak into his house and rent it out as a business proposition.
As a B&B. I just watched that one.
That one's
it's a good old B&E.
That one's great because I thought of Mr. Feeny. I thought of I think there's some outside shots of him coming home, and I just pictured him behind the tool shed. I thought it'd be perfect for this episode.
Yeah.
Favorite Boy Meets World episode, dude. It's got to be the ski house.
Oh,
with Linda Cardellini, who's gone on to do big things. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the only other girl to kiss Corey Matthews.
Yeah, she was in Freaks and Geeks, which is an unbelievable show.
Unbelievable show.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, what's your favorite?
Mine's the one where Mr. Feedy gets caught cranking it in the tool shed with his big peeny.
That must have been that must have been the one they pulled off the air.
It only aired once.
It's just 30 minutes of him with Lou taking Alice.
Picture of Topanga.
Oh God. We can't air this.
Adult.
Topanga, every millennial's dream. I like the one where
college version. The
What
college
season
version.
was
It's a
this,
later. It was a
Presley?
later season. It was a later season when they were all in college.
well, you know, Rachel's at like a porn star now too.
See,
That's what she had to go into porn acting after Boy Meets World. She couldn't get any other role. She was typecast into being the tall girl that
See?
went between Eric and Jack.
son of a bitch.
Wait, Rachel?
Which
Yeah.
which ones are we talking about? So I
Rachel, the tall redhead.
Yeah,
Blau, how do you know this?
I got sources.
can.
The internet's a wild place, man.
It's like the wild, wild west out
Yeah,
there.
the internet's like the wild, wild west. We ain't on
Have
that
you ever-
dial-up
ever
server
heard of
anymore.
it?
I can find anything I want.
You guys heard.
All right. Well,
Hey, why don't you guys just frig off for the night, man?
Craig, frig off. Get out of here.
Frig off.
Hey, frig off.
Frig off. We'll see you guys.